In today's episode, we will discuss one of the most notorious and brutal killers in American crime history. In 1978, the American audience was eagerly watching one of their favorite shows, The Dating Game, where a group of handsome men competed to win a date with a beautiful girl by answering a series of questions. All the contestants in this episode appeared to be ordinary individuals, but among them was a hidden serial killer. Who was he, and what did he do? That's what we will explore in today's episode. Of course, the majority did not agree with Shirley's opinion, especially those who voted for Alcala. They only saw a handsome man, unaware of the chilling truth about this man. As he participated in the show, Alcala was indulging in his favorite hobby of killing people. He had already killed 3 individuals during the airing of the episodes. Perhaps Shirley's inner sense helped her escape the same fate at the hands of this madman, but others were not as fortunate. Rodney James Alcala was born on August 23, 1943, and grew up in a broken family in San Antonio, Texas. His family moved to Mexico in 1951, and then he and his mother and 3 siblings relocated to Los Angeles in 1954 after his father abandoned the family. When Rodney turned 17, he worked as a writer in the U.S. Army. After 4 years, while performing his duties, sudden changes occurred in his personality. He experienced a nervous breakdown and began engaging in strange and incomprehensible behaviors. On one occasion, he left the camp without obtaining permission from his commander, hitchhiked a passing car, and headed to his mother's house. There, he exhibited abnormal behaviors. Upon examination by a military psychiatrist, his condition was diagnosed as narcissistic with antisocial psychopathic tendencies, leading to his discharge from the Army based on this diagnosis. After his discharge from the Army, Alcala decided to continue his college education. He obtained a bachelor's degree from the California College of Fine Arts. Upon completing his art studies, he enrolled once again at New York University to study cinema. During this time at the university, he used the alias John Berger, and no one knew the purpose behind this use of a pseudonym. While studying at the university, he committed a heinous crime, raping and murdering an airline stewardess named Cornelia Michelle inside her Manhattan apartment. After several years, he committed another crime in Los Angeles. This time, his victim was not a woman but an 8-year-old girl named Tali Shapiro. There was a witness who saw Alcala luring the girl into his apartment in Hollywood. The witness immediately contacted the police and reported the incident. The people arrived and found the girl raped with signs of severe violence on her body. However, Alcala had already fled and disappeared from the crime scene. The police conducted necessary investigations into the incident and were able to identify Rodney Alcala as a perpetrator. His photograph was added to the most wanted list. Meanwhile, Alcala escaped to the East Coast and managed to obtain a consulting job at the New Hampshire art camp, using the alias John Berger. Fate intervened when 2 children at the camp recognized his picture and informed the authorities. He was quickly apprehended. However, the family of the victim, Tali, refused to subject their daughter to the testimony and face the criminal, fearing for her psychological well-being. The police were helpless and lost their primary witness in the case. As a result, Alcala received a lenient sentence of only 17 months. But he was soon arrested again 2 months after his release, on charge of assaulting a 13-year-old girl named Julie. She testified against him in court, but he was released again after serving 2 years in prison. His subsequent victim was Ellen Jean Hoover, the granddaughter of the American actor and singer Dean Martin. Alcala killed her in Manhattan after being allowed by the police officer to travel to New York. He was arrested again after this crime. After his release from prison in 1977, he managed to get a job at the Los Angeles Times newspaper, despite his criminal record. During his employment, he was able to convince a large number of girls to pose for him, especially those seeking fame. He would convince them that he was a professional fashion photographer and could help them become celebrities. Many of these girls started to disappear, and most parents reported their daughters missing. Since the police did not have any information about the girls, they classified them as runaways or assumed they were on a trip and would eventually return. In 1979, a 12-year-old girl named Robin disappeared, and her body was found 12 days later in the hills of Los Angeles. Her friends said that while they were on a beach outing, a man approached them and offered to take their pictures. The girl managed to assist the police in creating a composite sketch of the killer. The officer responsible for Alcala's parole recognized the composite sketch, and the police quickly searched his mother's house, where they found keys to a storage unit containing Robin's earrings. Alcala was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. But later, the jury members objected to this sentence and demanded a harsher punishment due to his sordid past. Thus, he was sentenced to death in 1980. While in prison, Alcala's DNA samples matched samples taken from previous crime scenes, and the advancement of DNA matching technology helped capture him. In 2003, his murder of 2 victims was confirmed, and in 2004, he was confirmed to have committed 4 more crimes against 4 other women: Georgia Wickstead, Charlotte Lamb, Jill Barcombe, and Jill Parento. The police found thousands of explicit photos of children and women in his possession. When questioned about the explicit photos, he simply stated that there were people who wanted their pictures taken and that he didn't force them. One investigator described him as a killing machine, and it is said that Alcala killed more than 130 people. Interestingly, Alcala was at the height of a serial killing spree when he appeared as a contestant on the show, The Dating Game. In his 3rd trial, Alcala defended himself, revealing his narcissistic personality. He would address himself as Mr. Alcala and then change his tone of voice to speak in defense. He claimed that the earrings found in his possession belonged to him and that he had been wearing them since his television appearance. However, none of the participants in the show saw him wearing those earrings. Within 3 days of his trial, Alcala was convicted of 5 murders and was sentenced to death for the 3rd time in March 2010. The judge lost her composure upon learning about his case and cried while sentencing Alcala, considering the horrifying and brutal things he had done to his victims. In the same year, the police released some of the photos taken by Alcala, totaling around 120 photos, hoping that the public would recognize them and assist the police in solving some of the unsolved crimes. The goal was to locate the people in the photos and determine if there were more victims. 21 women came forward to identify themselves, and some families recognized their loved ones who had been missing for years. Additionally, there were approximately 900 other photos that were not published due to their explicit sexual content. In 2013, a photo of Christine Thornton was identified by her family. Christine's remains were found in Wyoming in 1982. She had disappeared in 1977 while being 6 months pregnant at the time of her murder. Alcala admitted to taking a photo of Christine, but claimed that he did not kill her. However, his DNA matched the DNA found on her remains. Rodney Alcala died at the age of 77 in a hospital near the Corcoran State Prison in California on July 24, 2021. Interestingly, while awaiting his trials, Alcala published a book titled You, the Jury, in which he claimed innocence and shifted blame onto others, alleging that the police manipulated witnesses in the Samso case to falsely incriminate him. The most bizarre irony in this killer's case remains his participation in the popular television show The Dating Game and winning it while he was actively killing his victims. Despite his criminal record and his photo being circulated as one of the most wanted after his first crime, he managed to appear on the show. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the notification bell to receive updates on new content.